I think we've got a very special guest tonight on the Nation, so let's go to the phone lines and welcome the new head football coach of the University of Tennessee, Josh Heupel. Josh, it's Chris and Austin. Welcome to Knoxville, first of all, and welcome to the Nation. How are you?
We're doing awesome. Excited to be a part of All Nation here, and just the welcome that we've received, and it's been a lot of fun for our family, and excited to get to work here and build this thing the right way.
Coach, it's Austin. How would you describe this first few days on the job? Is there any way you can kind of put it into context for those people at home to know exactly, like, not necessarily what you've been doing, but just how busy and how it's one thing to the next?
Well, I think it's never ending here, and that's really the way year one will be. Having gone through it, it's a little bit of a juggling act where you got a lot of balls up in the air, and you're trying to make sure that you get to know your current players first and foremost. I think that's absolutely critical. You're trying to recruit at the same time, and then you got to build a staff and get your infrastructure here, and then you got to teach everybody inside your program the expectations. That's players and coaches alike. But here our first 4 or 5 days here on campus, opportunity to meet with our players, a great group of individuals there inside the room that enlightened me and had a great conversation with me about what's right, what's wrong, how we continue to build it, and what are the things that we need to take the steps to where we want to get to go.
Hey Josh, it's Chris again. So Danny White said the other day that he did an exhaustive search. They reached out to a lot of people. They talked to a lot of people. You're their head football coach. I think a big part of being successful anywhere is wanting to be somewhere, someone that's not afraid of the challenge. Obviously, Tennessee potentially going to have some NCAA issues down the road, but you are not afraid of this challenge. I wondered, as you sort of weighed whether to come and take this job, how much the lure of coming to a place like Tennessee and having a chance to restore it to its past glory was among your decision-making?
For sure. I said this to our football team the first night that I was here in Knoxville, leaving behind a great program and a great football team in Orlando, a team that, in my opinion, will end up being a top 25 football team and have a chance to win a championship. The opportunity here where you have leadership that's in direct alignment, that there's a clear vision of what they want to accomplish and how they're going to provide the resources to go do those things, was a big part of me deciding to come here. This is one of the most iconic brands in all of college sports and in college football, and I'm not sure there's a better venue in all of college football than Neyland Stadium on Saturday afternoons. And the opportunity to come here with the tradition that's here and have an opportunity with these young men to go chase championships is something that I wanted to be a part of.
Coach, it's Austin again. I know you've been busy trying to construct your staff. I mean, no matter where I've went, and I think Chris is the same way, we kind of get the question, well, what do you think about Coach Heupel? And my kind of common answer is I think you can kind of chalk up the offense for what it'll continue to be, which is a high-octane offense that can score. To me, the key to success is finding a defensive coordinator that that you mesh with, and then finding some guys that have recruited the South and recruited the SEC. How have you went about trying to attack that? I know you're not going to give away any names, but at the same time, how have you tried to attack that the last few days, of getting the staff here as quick as possible?
Yeah, for sure. I think, in my press conference I said acquiring and bringing in the right staff is more important than just getting it here by a certain date. At the end of the day, for me, it's important that we have like-minded individuals and understand the vision and the way that we want to operate inside of our building is we develop, 18-year-old young men into grown men by the time they're done here and develop them inside of the game of football as well. And you talked about the defensive coordinator spot. That will absolutely be critical because of all my involvement on the offensive side of the ball. But each staff member's got to bring, a championship pedigree and a competitive spirit to what they do every day.
Josh, it's Chris. So you do plan to call plays, your own plays at Tennessee. Is that the plan?
I do, yes.
How hard is that when you're – because obviously the best head coaches are guys that can manage the entire program, and personalities, program, everything, and still call your own plays. Is that overrated or is that difficult to walk that tightrope?
Well, I think it's important that you do establish a culture here, and you make sure that every portion of your program is following your leadership, and that comes from communication, setting the standards, and making sure that everybody's following those things. Going to oversee an entire football program, but I think it's important here in year one that we instill what we do on the offensive side of the ball the right way and develop our quarterback play and put our kids in the best position to be successful and play the three the three phases of the game together and been able to manage the game from that perspective and plan on doing that.
Josh, you played for, you coached with, and you coached for a wide spectrum of people, from Bob Stoops right on down the line, Barry Odom. How much does that sort of cross-section of not only coaches but different parts of the country, different conferences help you now as you get into being a head football coach in the SEC?
Yeah, I think every one of those experiences help shape who and what you are as a person, as a coach, and how you view the game of football. From playing for Mike Leach when he was an offensive coordinator at Oklahoma to playing for Bob and coaching for him for a long time to my experiences at Missouri with Barry Odom and certainly what's happened the last couple of years at UCF, too, just in a leadership position as a head coach. All those things certainly play a huge part in how you approach the game and how you manage everything.
Coach, when you were a kid, I assumed that Tennessee obviously was having a lot more success than they are now. What's your first recollection of Tennessee football? I know you're not necessarily from here, but at the same time, Tennessee's such a national brand, as you say. Is there a moment in time where you remember, watching a Tennessee game on TV growing up?
Shoot, man, I remember being a little kid Saturday afternoon, CBS Sports, and flipping on the TV and watching the Florida-Tennessee game or the Georgia-Tennessee game. Just great memories from my childhood and watching them have a ton of success. Coach Majors as a kid growing up and just the success that he had here.
Hey, Josh, it's Chris again. When you talk to the players and talk to them about, you talked a lot about culture tonight. What did you sort of glean from them? What do they want? I know that's a hungry bunch of kids. They have not had the kind of success recently that anybody associated with Tennessee wants to have. But what was sort of your main takeaway from meeting with them?
I think there's a lot of things that I took away and tried to listen more than I spoke almost and giving them an opportunity to express themselves and what their expectations and things that they wanted to accomplish and what they felt like was missing too. And I think, some of the great takeaways from that conversation with them is they want to be accountable to each other and they want to be accountable to the process every single day. They understand that there's a process that you got to get to or go through to have an opportunity to be successful. I think they want to be connected. They want to love one another, but they want to spend time together and not just in the game, but outside of the game as well. And we got to connect. And football's a tough, physical, violent game at its core. Most of the guys that are inside of that locker room play it because they want to be part of something that's bigger than them. They want to be a part of a brotherhood, and they want that connection and love. And it's an imperative that our coaching staff, gets to know these guys outside of the game as well and know them as individuals. And that takes a lot of time in year one because you haven't spent time recruiting them during the recruiting process. And we got to invest a lot of time in that to connect the right way.
Coach, it's Austin again. When you look at your current roster, there's some pieces there on offense. Have any of those guys, tried to find time with you and express kind of their, excitement about getting to spring practice and kind of getting that offensive install going?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that are doing the research and making sure that they're in our ears already about the plays that they're capable of making with the ball in their hands. Our guys have been great since we've gotten here. I've had a bunch of conversations with them, just inside of our building. And actually right before I jumped on here, there were a few guys that were up in our facility just trying to check in and get to know you. And I've encouraged that and want that. And that's not just, in year one, but that's going to be who and what we are inside of our program every day during my tenure here. And we got a lot of really good players inside of that team room in all three phases of the game. We got a chance to win a bunch of ball games. We got to focus on today and make sure that we're taking the right steps each and every day to get us where we want to be.
Josh, it's Chris. When you look at your offense, and the offense has changed so much over the last few years, period. But when I've watched your offenses play the last few years, you see the tempo, you see trying to go fast and really hit guys and get guys in space and make plays down the field. Is that a little bit of a combination of all the different places you've been? And if you were explaining your offense to someone who's never watched your guys play before, how would you explain it?
Yeah, I think we certainly have grabbed, bits and pieces of everywhere I've been, and the game evolves, and so you're going to evolve on the offensive side of the ball, and that's true in every phase of the game. The game's constantly changing. You got to evolve, and you can't afford to be stagnant. But you also change offensively just based on your personnel, and how can you create position of success or position of advantage for your skill players, and understanding the entire game and how you protect and put your position of your offensive line in a position of success too, and so it constantly changes and evolves. But we're going to make sure that we get guys that prove that they're going to play at a championship level, give them an opportunity to get out there on the football field. I think it's important that as a football coach you always ask about your personnel, just what can they do at a championship level, what can't they do, and you try to put them in a position to be successful. We're going to play with tempo. We're going to be an exciting brand. We're going to put our skill players in space. Obviously we like to go vertical with the football in the passing game and really go vertical with our run game as well if you watch it. And I think the thing that people don't understand is that we're really pretty balanced on offense, just run, pass, and we're going to put our kids in position to play fast, be successful, and have a lot of fun.
Josh, you mentioned alignment earlier, the whole university being alignment, and I haven't been around Tennessee for a long time. There's been a while since it's really been aligned, and you go to Clemson, you go to Alabama, you go to Ohio State, and that alignment is pretty obvious for everybody to see. How much do you think it helps your transition and coming in, having worked for Danny, he knows you, you know him, and getting everything aligned the way you guys want it?
Absolutely, just comfort and the ability to communicate together, understanding the expectations of what we're trying to accomplish, and that's for our student athletes on the field, in the weight room. But it's also just in their overall view of what we're trying to teach them here while they're going through the collegiate experience outside of the game, academically, socially, making sure that we're continuing to educate them in life lessons. And when you're able to have that alignment with your athletic director and your chancellor, it gives you a chance to keep pushing forward in every way, every day. And absolutely, we got to be doing that to get us where we want to be by the time we kick off next fall.
Well, Josh, man, we really appreciate you spending some time with us on The Nation. Now, we'll let you off the hook. We won't make you sing Rocky Top this time. But the next time you join us, you're going to have to know the words to it, all right? Is that a deal?
I'll start learning that right now.
But, Josh, seriously, man, thanks for the time. Good luck to you, and we hope to catch up with you down the road, okay?
I appreciate it, guys. Have a great night. Go
you
Vols.
too. Thanks.
All right, Josh Heupel, the head football coach at the University of Tennessee, joining us tonight on The Nation. Certainly appreciate him taking the time.